Hello. Okay, welcome. Yeah, we're going to expose Albert Einstein in this stream. Um, okay, admittedly, I'll just start off the bat. I probably shouldn't say this. Yeah, I haven't really done a whole lot of research into this. Um, I got the idea from listening to this guy, Alan Watt. I mean, in junior high, I did read um, a biography about Albert Einstein. And the only thing I really thought was notable was the fact that he did invite women over to his house and answer the door wearing a trench coat, nothing but a trench coat, and then flash the women. Basically, he was a sexual deviant. You know how rock stars, musicians, women want to sleep with them because they're famous and they got groupies. Well, that's how Einstein was. So back before we were super dumbed down through the education system, people's heroes were scientists, explorers, people who actually did noteworthy things with their lives, right? So what the propagandists would do, like today, they could just take anyone off the street for the most part and turn them into like a pop star or a celebrity of some sort. They even do this still today with like people like in the science realm, with like Neil deGrasse Tyson would be an example. So since people looked up to scientists for guidance and stuff, they used scientists as propaganda. They realized they could use scientists to push propaganda. So Einstein was basically a fake scientist propped up by the state to be an arm for the state's propaganda. Okay, and we have here this movie. I'm not sure I can play this trailer. It'll get blocked, but this isn't like proof of anything. But the whole concept of what I'm talking about is within this movie. I think it's kind of a tongue-in-cheek, pointing at the reality of the situation, right? So this movie is a romantic comedy. We got Meg Ryan here. She's the niece of Albert Einstein, and she's gonna marry this intellectual, right? But Einstein wants to does some experiment to see if they can make her fall in love with this auto mechanic who's not, an academic intellectual, but it's not like he's stupid. He can fix cars. So the plot of this movie basically, and here's Walter Matthau who plays Einstein. So Einstein in this movie and his scientist buddies conspire to deceive the entire world and make the entire world believe this auto mechanic is some like idiot savant genius. Like he was just an auto mechanic, but actually he's like he understands physics better than Einstein or whatever. And I don't know if they show, like there's the scientist buddies, and they're helping him answer questions because like people would at parties, people come up to him and try and, are you really smart? And they would help guide him through conversations to deceive people. And they got the whole world. They used the press and the media thinking that this guy was some genius. Now, I think this is tongue-in-cheek, that's really what happened. Einstein was a dumbass, and like in this movie, how Einstein made this idiot into some recognized world genius, the propaganda of the state did the same thing with Einstein, and they used him to push things like Zionism, and because they wanted to create Israel. He was even asked to be the president of Israel on 2 occasions, which he declined because he's not actually intelligent. And at parties and stuff, I heard like no one thought people thought this guy was an idiot. Like he was an idiot. This guy's an idiot. Einstein is an idiot. People don't realize this, and they they'll quote him. These idiots, like this Joel guy, was quoting him. These people quote him to this day because of the propaganda created. His name in the dictionary, Einstein, is synonymous with genius. It's propaganda. He's not really a genius, okay? And this guy has more well-researched on this subject, so I'm just going to play this clip here. And, I mean, that's pretty much all I got. I could do more research on this, but it's not that it's not that big of a deal. I already know that they can create fake celebrities, so it's not a stretch of the imagination for me to say, okay, they did this in the past with people like Einstein. So I kind of just accept this as true. But I'm pretty sure if you I've looked into a lot of things this guy says. He's usually pretty accurate. So I'll just play this video. This will be the information. He'll provide the academic information.
Look at, say, Einstein, for instance. I've never fallen for Einstein's propaganda. He's so typical of the ones that suddenly they pull out of nowhere a sudden genius, just like the same thing with Charles Darwin and many others that belong to the Royal Society, at the highest Masonic scientific group on the planet.
Did Einstein?
Yeah. And Einstein literally was diagnosed at school. He was classed as an idiot in his school, if you read the biographies on him. His teachers all said the guy couldn't learn anything. They were stunned when he suddenly, years later, he became a famous scientist. But his parents were well connected in Switzerland, and they got him a job in the patent office. And the reward, if you work in patent offices aren't there to protect people's patents. Patent offices are set up to steal people's patents for their masters. And because of the good job he did, they made him a famous scientist. C.P. Snow and other people who wrote books on him and interviewed Einstein many times said he never talked about science to people. He always talked politics, but it wasn't just politics. It was a globalized system he talked about that was to come. He referred to it himself in C.P. Snow's books as Zionism, the real meaning of Zionism, nothing to do with Israel. And so the high Masonic tradition, of course, they do call it Zionism. But hold on, and I'll come back with more after this break. Hi folks, I'm Alan Watt, and this is Cutting Through the Matrix, talking to Andrea from New York about the Red Square building down there. It's quite a fascinating place, the photographs I've seen it so far anyway. But yeah, they have Einstein's name on the roof.
And you don't know who POPHA was, P-O-P-H-A?
I haven't had time to go into that part of it yet. But I'm sure it'll be related to the same global type agenda. See, Einstein believed that, again, experts and scientists should rule the world in a post-democratic society. He also believed that nationalism had to go. He used the whole doctrine of the atom bomb to terrify the public, and he came out with his famous statements, "In the next war we fought with sticks and stones," after the atomic war. This is all to terrify the people of the world under the United Nations auspices to give up their sovereignty. But Einstein himself, as I say, did not invent the atom bomb. It was invented by
the theory of relativity? I mean,
yeah, but even these theories, you can understand that they've done this before, even with Charles Darwin. Charles Darwin did not come up with the origin of species. His grandfather published a book very similar to that before him. It was in the family, and most of the stuff, if you look into the history books, especially the stuff that's taught today under freedom of information, when they disclose stuff 100-odd years later, they admit that Wallace was the guy that supplied most of the information that Charles Darwin used in his supposed book, The Origin of Species. And it was the Royal Society of London, this high institution authorized by the Crown, that chose Darwin to be the front man to push evolution. It was the same thing with as I say, with this other present guy. They always give you a leader, and they give them roles to play. And as I say, Einstein's role was primarily political. He couldn't say much at all about science without a few notes in front of him in any speech.
And do you think the same thing is more or less true with Tesla?
I'm pretty sure. Tesla did not. When you look at what he supposedly invented, he had to first invent different components to get the main invention working. You couldn't do that when you understand how components work in electronics without having an understanding of what you'd have to do in the first place. See, science can only progress from something that's already discovered. Then you discover, you say, what can we do with this now? Then you try different things, and someone somewhere will come up with some good use for it. Yet we're told that Tesla just happened to know how to make forms of capacitors and this, that, and the other, things that they hadn't done up until then. And he just did it all by himself, by intuition. That's impossible. The guy was trained somewhere by... See, sciences are very, very old. What the public are given at this level, and at school and in university, is a lower order of science. We are literally living in the past, in a sense, when it comes to medicine, physics, and biology, and chemistry. That's the lowest order. They have 2 orders above that. The higher orders get weaponry, and the higher echelons, even above CIA, the Secret Services. And the ones at the very top have the real stuff that really, really work. And literally that they're years ahead of anything that the public are ever told about. So
just one more question about Red Square. Did you notice the trapezoids? There were a couple
yes, I did. I did too. And the situation, even the way it faces south, that's because the sun, of course, is highest at noon in the south, you see. That's why it's really in the south, not because this revolution started there. And the Grand Master always sits in the east, where the sun rises. Yeah.
Okay.
That's highly Masonic. That's what it is.
All right.
But thanks for calling in. Yeah, we don't really have time to go into that too much tonight. But for Dave in Arizona, Dave in New York, and Kyle in Connecticut, phone in again tomorrow. And from Hamish, myself, in Ontario, Canada, it's good night. And may your gods go with you. Same thing with as I say, with this other present guy. They always give you a leader, and they give them roles to play. And as I say, Einstein's role was primarily political. He couldn't say much at all about science without a few notes in front of him in any speech.
And do you think the same thing is more or less true with Tesla?
I'm pretty sure. Tesla did not... when you look at what he supposedly invented, he had to first invent different components to get the main invention working. You couldn't do that when you understand how they made him a famous scientist.
Yeah, I mean...
yeah, but even these theories, you can understand, they've done this before, even with Charles Darwin. Charles Darwin did not come up with the origin of species. Talking to Andrea from New York.
I guess the audio there, he has it looping. But yeah, that's basically the gist of it. So you got the Royal Society, like all this stuff, academia, it's all controlled. Like, I guess people don't really realize how the world works, but we're sold a bunch of bullshit. You know, like this idea of how the things are that they teach us. Oh, it's just scientists coming up with things, and if you invent something on your own, you can get rich and famous. No, that's not really the real world. Like, the elites will steal your technology. They'll murder you. They'll, I guess people don't realize how fake our reality is, but it's the unfortunate truth. And these are the same people that Jesus Christ was fighting back in 2,000 years ago. They're still here today. lying to people. Like, they had people thinking Jesus was a bad person, you see? They had... the people crucified Jesus because these deceivers like Pilate, these rulers, they manipulate and lie to us. So I don't know, something to be aware of. You can't trust science. Look at the Bible says, "Do not deceive yourselves. If any of you think you are wise by the standards of this age, you should become fools so that you may become wise. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness in God's sight. As it is written, He catches the wise in their craftiness. And again, the Lord knows that the thoughts of the wise are futile." And there's more to this too. Like, I was going in... Well, I sent Smokey Saint the quote. I could just check my Discord, I suppose. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't expose the DMs I have with Smokey, although it's not like we said anything private. Or at least I didn't. I don't know. See, like, I never know, like, people are going to piss people off. Here's Zbigniew Brzezinski. He was the Secretary of Defense for the Jimmy Carter administration in the 80s. Here he says, another threat. Well, Aldous, he's echoing what Aldous Huxley said too. And there's if anyone's interested in this stuff, YouTube Aldous Huxley Mike Wallace interview. He's saying that Aldous Huxley says the same thing. Brzezinski is saying here that technology is one of the greatest threats to our freedom. Okay? So here Brzezinski says, another threat, less overt but no less basic, confronts liberal democracy, more directly linked to the impact of technology. It involves the gradual appearance of a more controlled and directed society. Such a society would be dominated by an elite whose claim to political power would rest on allegedly superior scientific know-how. Is this sounding familiar? Unhindered by the restraints of traditional liberal values, what, like, now it's okay to be gay? This elite would not hesitate to achieve its political ends by using the latest modern techniques for influencing public behavior and keeping society under close surveillance and control. Under such circumstances, the scientific and technological momentum of the country would not be reversed, but would actually feed on the situation exploits. Persisting social crises, the emergence of charismatic personality, and the exploitation of mass media to obtain public confidence would be the stepping stones in the piecemeal transformation of the United States into a highly controlled society. So we see here the threat of science is being stated by Zbigniew Brzezinski himself. You know, and this fucking jackass Joel wants to tell me I'm fucking wrong. He doesn't know shit about dick. Excuse my French. Am I live? Oh, I'm live. I kind of want to... will I even be able to upload that? I want to show that conversation. But I'm guessing... I don't know I can, really. This whole stream is already processed and uploaded? How the fuck? What is this shit? Might as well just play this. Fuck it.
No.
This is a debater. They're like...
They tried to get him to be...
into real science fields today. You have to learn from... He seems like you're saying, chomping at the bit. His channel. He's very unprofessional. You know, and Speed's tried to... Speed even apologized to me for him. He says that he gets very emotional or whatever. But I mean, if I'm in like just a casual conversation with him and other people, you know, where he's got to basically force himself to be more civilized, I think I could tolerate that.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I won't moderate him unless it's a debater. They're like SFT, praise, Smokey, you know, someone that can lay the law down.
Yeah, you'd have to have some kind of moderator, Joel, because he doesn't care about other people in the room. You know, I mean, you just need time to speak, essentially. But I wouldn't expect him to be respectful because he's just not.
Right. And
Sure.
I can't tolerate that. I need respect. I need mutual respect.
Yeah, I mean, he's just not. From my brief interactions with him, and he doesn't really. He's not interested in the truth. You know what I mean? And really assessing the arguments being put forward. He just mimics the talking points. He has no.
I noticed this guy Joel. He's like, "Oh, I need mutual respect." That should have clued me in right there that he's a snowflake that can't handle the truth.
Like substance to his argument, so it's really it's just not a fruitful discussion at all.
Well, yeah, and I'll even add on to that. I'll second that by and because I have I've listened to their channels. I actually was listening to it I think earlier tonight, as a matter of fact, because Speed created one that Antangulo let me know dedicated to me tonight. Jolio's quantum scientist, whatever his title was. So I went in there, lurked, and I talked with him real briefly, just in text. And he's what I describe as an academic. So I don't know if he's taking classes in it or something, or he's reading reference materials. So he's and I call him a noob on it. He knows a lot of the math or the nomenclatures and a lot of the classifications of things, but he has no real world practical applicable knowledge or technical
Nothing useful.
He can't get hired as a quantum physicist like I have been. Just knowing the nomenclatures and the terminology is never good enough. You actually have to know how it works, what the limitations are, what you're trying to do, And like I try to explain to them, academia, it's always 20. In fact, that's what I learned, 20 years plus behind what we're doing in actual real world science. So the things that you learn in school these days, even Elon Musk, he's out there publicly talking about, it's absolutely useless.
Well, that's one thing I can agree with him. That's what the same thing, basically what Alan Watt was saying, where that the stuff they teach in schools and stuff is way behind. Well, and the general public is actually behind what the real, like even in the private sector, I think. Do they? I don't know. I'm not sure how it all works. I guess exactly, but the general public isn't let to know the true technology. Like I think the military, the UFOs and stuff people are seeing, we're seeing in like the advanced technology that we're not made aware of. Since we have no knowledge of said technology, they can use technology to deceive us. So something to be aware of.
You get into real science fields today, you have to learn from day one because you're not going to learn it in school.
Well, yeah, I'd say the pace, everything moves forward so quickly now, and you know how slow like government institutions are with getting up to date.
Well, it's even worse than that. That a lot of these schools, I call them atheist church schools now. They're just backwards on purpose. They're teaching atheist dog. That's it.
It seems like it. What's up?
I want to say that, like, Einstein, for one, he's not a real scientist. He's just more like a celebrity rock star scientist that was created to push the state propaganda. He's basically used by the state to push propaganda.
Right. And are you saying that as a scientist, though?
No, I'm not a scientist. I hate science. So Einstein also would invite young women to his house, and when he answered the door, he would expose himself to them. So he's a disgusting pervert. He's a Zionist. They tried to get him to be the president of Israel 2 times, but he declined because he's not really intelligent. It's all fake. And the stuff he says about religion and science, I don't know. I think science is a huge threat to Christians, and I guess they don't see it. But like people like Darwin and Sigmund Freud, they were trying to devalue human life so we could have amazing things today like abortion. So we have science to thank for that. So yeah, I don't think Christ would be a big fan of science. I'm pretty sure he would see it as a threat to the truth, which is what it is. It's being used to enslave humanity and manipulate, control what we believe is true.
If I may interrupt you for a second and ask you, do you want to talk about these things, or do you just want to just tell us? I
mean, I'm sure I'd be welcome to, but I'm here to tell you guys the truth, because I've been doing a lot of research. A lot of people can't see things the way I see. I think I'm like a prophet or something.
Shut up, P-Mars. Here's
are you just going? First of all,
I'm HIV positive. I'm 100% serious.
Okay.
Yeah. If you guys want to go ahead and let go ahead. But I would love to have fun with.
No, I just want to say.
You want to have fun with me?
P-Mars.
The topic of science. I've been on the bleeding edge of science and technology probably my whole career.
P-Mars, I agree that science has brought us some terrible things.
I've been on the leading edge of exposing science for its true sinister purpose of enslaving humanity and destroying Christ.
I would ask then, to be able to destroy something, don't you have to understand it first and know about it?
No.
I'm saying my thoughts are science has brought us like bombs and pretty terrible things, but it also has brought medicine, and lots of great things.
Okay? Right.
And I would take the position that the science is the pursuit of truth, and Jesus is the truth.
Ideally, you would be correct, but unfortunately, when things get put into practice, there's things like corruption and stuff gets involved. So power corrupts.
Really, science is a tool. It's like a hammer. So hammers can be
for Satan.
A house. It can get somebody that off the street, and it can also bash someone's head in. So it's not science, and the hammer's not the problem. It's the person wielding it.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, science. Well, it is. It's just a methodology, really.
Yeah.
So it's not.
I was going to ask that. If and what's your name? This is P-Mars.
P-Mars.
Okay, so it's not science. It's the problem. It's the one wielding it. Like, dude, what is this semantical bullshit? Like, come on, dude. We live in a reality, right? In this reality, science is being used to enslave humanity. Now, are we going to deal with that fact? Or are you going to, spin bullshit about some ideal that science is supposed to be? Ideally, Catholics aren't supposed to molest little boys. But what happens in the real world? You know what? I don't give a fuck about the ideal of science. I want to talk about reality, motherfucker.
Yeah. What do you know of the scientific method and the history of it and things like that, if you know?
I don't understand. I mean, I know Francis Bacon is credited with being one of the originators of the scientific method.
Right. Do you know his beliefs and why he did it?
Well, I know he was an occultist. He was in contact with the devil, and yeah.
Where'd you get that off of?
I think that is true. I read
him, and he followed John Dee with his Enochian, contacting Enochian angels and all that stuff.
Did seances and stuff.
Yeah,
I've never read that before. Where do you get that from?
Yeah,
I don't know the internet. So
really,
that's what I'm saying. Science is really the religion of the devil.
Well, so do you believe everything on the internet then?
Oh yeah, and I love it when people strawman me.
Who gave the who came up with the theory of how planets form and stuff like that? Was that Sir Francis Bacon?
Do you believe everything the scientist tells you, Mr. Science Man? You just believe science?
No scientist will ever tell you.
Believe everything science tells you?
Stop being a troll, P-Mars. Come on.
Yeah, like I said, if you're serious, man, I love to talk about it. But if you're not serious, if you're just some sort of
I am serious.
I think he is serious because through his stupidity when he's acting like a rewrite.
You're acting like a child. You just asked me, do you believe everything you read on the internet?
Right, because you made an appeal to authority logical fallacy by saying that you read on the internet. So do you believe everything on the internet, or do you have an actual source, and do you actually want to have a conversation, or are you just here to be dumb?
Oh, I'm just here to be dumb, dude.
I understand.
The scientific rulers will provide
Science-
one kind of education.
Quote, a little science estranges man from God. A lot of science brings him back. And I think that basically you're an atheist, and that you're proving Einstein correct that atheists can't be scientists.
Why do you love Einstein? He's an idiot.
Well, because he actually does some things useful, unlike yourself.
No, he doesn't. He's fake. The scientific rulers will provide.
I don't want to listen to your ad hominem and anecdotal crap. If you're going to have a serious conversation, we can go into the serious details. But if you're just going to spew your
Serious.
I don't care. I don't want to listen to somebody who is as arrogant as you that thinks that your opinions.
I'm upset with the way this conversation is going. You are a serious interlocutor. You're trolls.
Are all that matter.
Right. You have to give evidence. You have to use the science.
To actually convince people.
I don't have to use science to prove any. Science doesn't prove anything. It just manipulates people and lies to them. The scientific rulers provide one kind of education for ordinary men and women, and another for those who are to become holders of scientific power. Ordinary men and women will be expected to be docile, industrious, punctual, thoughtless, and contented. Of these qualities, probably contentment will be considered the most important. In order to produce it, all the researchers of psychoanalysis, behavioralism, and biochemistry will be brought into play. All the boys and girls will learn from an early age to be what is called cooperative, i.e., do exactly what everyone is doing. Initiative will be discouraged in these children, and insubordination without being punished will be scientifically trained out of them.
He's just here to spew some weird cult thing.
That's Bertrand Russell from the book The Scientific Outlook.
Oh, you're going to quote an atheist.
Exactly.
Yeah, he was an idiot. True.
Bertrand Russell was an idiot.
Absolute idiot. That guy did nothing for science. He was a philosopher. He was proof of what Socrates said about philosophers, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
he worked for the CIA to create the uniform culture of the West after World War II.
Yeah? How many people did he murder?
With the Congress for Cultural Freedom.
Okay, that's irrelevant.
And he was very instrumental. I think the elite used his ideas that he wrote about and the impact of science in society and the scientific outlet to create.
This film were to be looked at by our descendants, like a Dead Sea Scroll in 1,000 years' time, what would you think it's worth telling that generation about the life you've lived and the lessons you've learned from it?
I should like to say two things. One intellectual and one moral. The intellectual thing I should want to say to them is this. When you are studying any matter or considering any philosophy, ask yourself only what are the facts and what is the truth that the facts bear out. Never let yourself be diverted either by what you would wish to believe or by what you think would have beneficent social effects if it were believed. But look only and solely at what are the facts. That is the intellectual thing that I should wish to say. The moral thing I should wish to say to them is very simple. I should say, love is wise, hatred is foolish. In this world, which is getting more and more closely interconnected, we have to learn to tolerate each other. We have to learn to put up with the fact that some people say things that we don't like. We can only live together in that way. But if we are to live together and not die together, we must learn a kind of charity and a kind of tolerance, which is absolutely vital to the continuation of human life on this planet.
What a dumbass.
What
you said that science
to create what Aldous Huxley described as a scientific dictatorship.
Now you're quoting white supremacists to us. That's beautiful. Dude,
you're quoting Einstein. He's a freaking Zionist. Why is that better? Einstein is a Zionist. You trust Zionism?
So is Jesus.
Yeah. Jesus is a Zionist.
Supremacist.
Holy crap.
Yes, the Bible says that to pray for Zion. You are a fascist, man. You're a socialist, democratic, or what do you call it? Fascist.
I'm a Christian anarchist, brah.
You are literally worshiping
an anarchist.
You agree with Darwin and Huxley, don't you?
No.
You agree with Darwin and Huxley, right?
I agree with Aldous Huxley that we live in a scientific dictatorship. I don't agree with Darwin.
Oh yeah, why not? They published all their work together.
The rivers of Babylon, there we sat down, there we wept, when we remembered Zion. By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down, there we wept, when we
No, you're thinking of Thomas Huxley.
Oh, okay. Thank you. You're probably right.
Yeah.
I don't know any other Huxleys, so you'll have to educate me on that one. But so I apologize. You're okay. You're not necessarily a white supremacist.
Julian Huxley, Aldous Huxley, and Thomas Huxley are the most famous, I believe.
Joel, did Sir Francis Bacon come up with the nebular hypothesis?
I don't know. What is that?
The crazy idea that like dust swirls around and forms planets and stuff.
That is Fred Hoyle, his stellar nucleosynthesis theory. I can't say it right. Nuclear synthesis. Oh my gosh.
No, it's a nebular hypothesis is what I'm referring to.
Right. That's Hoyle.
Is it? I thought it was before that.
You might be thinking of the guy that the name starts with a B. Bayesian, something where they talked about how atoms and stuff are vibrating.
No. This is specifically the nebular hypothesis. I thought it was Francis Bacon, and I swear he said that he came up with the idea from a seance, and that just kind of supports.
No.
Nonsense P. Mars was spewing there. Just tiny bit of it.
Yeah, my only understanding. So not only is Bacon a Christian,
I wasn't spewing nonsense, yo. I've done a lot of research into this, and
Bacon said he started the scientific method specifically to obey 1 Peter 3:15, which says to always be ready to give a reason for your faith. And he wanted because what was happening, he was a politician as well. He was one of those Renaissance kind of guys, polymath kind of guy. And there was another, I forget his name now. I have to brush up on my history, but there was another governor that was trying to use basic Aristotle type truth stuff to basically establish. I forget what other kind of it was.
It was Emanuel Swedenborg.
Okay, are you looking this up right now?
Yes, Emanuel Swedenborg. He first proposed a nebular hypothesis, and he's the one that got it from a seance, which is I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah, I don't even know these guys. When someone and maybe the nebular hypothesis is different from the stellar nucleosynthesis. There we go. That's Hoyle. Fred Hoyle is the one that came up with the actual, what I would say, the actual credential for the scientific hypothesis of nebulas turning into stars.
Yeah, this is Emanuel Swedenborg in 1734. He proposed that a gaseous cloud from which, in the so-called nebular hypothesis of the origin of the solar system, the sun and planets formed by condensation. He proposed the planets formed at a nebular crust that had surrounded the sun and then broken apart.
That sounds backwards. That sounds backwards than what the more quote unquote established, the actual.
Yeah, I think there's. Did you study any of that, Joel? Because I think a lot of that stuff is messed up. Like
I did Hoyle's. I did the what's considered modern science. I did not understand. I don't know anything about this other guy you're talking about. The crusty nebula guy.
Because from and I haven't really looked too deep into these. I just seen like creationist critiques on these things. So it's not like I've dwelled into it deep into the science or something. But they were saying like with planet formation and stellar formation and all these things, like there's huge gaps in the understanding. Like they don't really have coherent ideas that really work out.
I think Joel, he's like too invested in science already. Like he can't believe the truth about it. So that is an issue we run into as Christians when we like invest our lives and time and money into lies, and then when we're confronted with the truth, it's hard to accept it because we don't want to just think like all this time and money we wasted.
Right. So that's called an ad hominem logical fallacy, and you just violated one of the commandments by bearing false witness against your brother. So you're Antichrist.
Why do you care so much about being logical?
Because that's just smart.
Why
did you just confess you like to be illogical?
Yeah, that's kind of
because like these people who are so obsessed with being rational are absolutely insane. Like you take rationality to the level where it becomes absolutely irrational to be rational. You think about life is absurd. Life is irrational
right now, right? Because
so like you can't ever find the truth because you don't value irrational.
You can't be logical. You can't know truth. You just confessed you're a liar.
Well, the truth has to be rational, P. Mars. Otherwise, we couldn't understand it at all.
Not true.
Look, you just basically agreed with every atheist out there that Christians aren't rational.
They aren't.
Come, let us reason together.
God isn't rational.
What?
You're a Christian.
What are you talking about, P. Mars?
He's a troll. Right? He's an atheist religious troll. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I talk to these guys every day on Facebook. It's annoying.
P. Mars is
he's a troll. I don't understand what he's saying. He must be a troll.
I'm trying to figure out if he's drunk or not. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
I don't hear him slurring.
I don't drink.
Are you high then?
No.
Okay. Most drug addicts don't admit that they're.
I just woke up.
You just woke up, and this is.
I'm healthy.
Well, you should tone it down a little. You're a little extreme for P. Mars, Stephen.
Well, you guys, I don't know, man. Like,
again, I don't like. I would love to have a rational, mature, intelligent adult conversation. That's all.
P. Mars engages in that occasionally, but
those aren't fun.
Trollish this morning for some reason.
Yeah, I've got 8 children.
I'm not trolling. Science is evil. Okay, we're living in a scientific dictatorship. They are going to use science to destroy Christ. That is the truth. Now, I understand Joel can't handle the truth because he's invested so much into science that he will never be able to see the truth. But I'm just letting you guys know.
Thankfully, you've already admitted you can never prove anything you say because you're rational. But can you read to us 1 Peter 3:15?
I don't have to prove anything I say because I am the truth.
So you're a dictator, like you said that science is used to dictate and force people to do things. You're doing that to me. You just called.
No, I'm not. I haven't forced you to do anything, Joel. I'm telling you the truth. You can accept the truth or you can reject the truth. I anticipate you will reject the truth.
You're forcing me to believe your Antichrist religion. Can you please read 1 Peter?
How have I forced you to believe anything?
Because you're just telling me that if I don't agree with you, that I'm absolutely wrong and I'm biased.
I don't care. I don't care if you agree with me or not. I'm telling you, I am the truth. Just like Jesus is the truth. I am the truth.
1 Peter 3:15. Somebody.
I justify my claims because I am the truth. I am love.
You can't justify anything without logic and science. 1 Peter 3:15.
I justify things because I am the truth. I don't need science. I don't need logic. I am a human being. I am the truth inside of me. Truth is inside of me.
You need to chill out.
Yeah, you're not acting in love.
You're
Dude.
awfully angry this morning, P. Morris.
You're Antichrist.
I'm not angry.
You sound very angry. Sounds like you got a lot of hate in your heart, man.
I think you're projecting, Daniel.
Really?
Yes.
I'm not the one. Rah, rah, rah.
I'm just talking. This is just how I'm talk. This is how I talk.
Nah, you sound angry, man. What's wrong, P. Morris? Do you have a bad night or something?
Well, science is being used to enslave us and destroy Christ. And we got people like Joel who are promoting science. It's disgusting. He's serving Lucifer.
Science isn't methodology.
Lucifer is Joel's daddy.
You're being Antichrist. You're bearing false witness about people because you suck. Quit attacking me.
Hypocrite.
Dude. Just because you can't debate, because you can't actually reason, you can't actually
Don't even get excited about this.
No, you're a hypocrite.
How old are you, dude?
I'm 38. How old are you?
Isn't that crazy?
You can't be 38.
Why not?
Because you don't have a mature mind.
Really? What's so mature about your mind? You think science is real?
Yeah, science is called your mind.
I think you're anthropomorphizing science, P. Mars.
I mean, you're saying like science supports religion. Like it's insane. Science has been destroying Christ.
Science is a methodology.
You've lost your damn mind, Joel.
What you're calling science is not science. So I think if you're serious, I'll bear with you for a little bit with this. What you're talking about is atheism. Atheism is anti-science. These guys, the whole atheist thing, and I'll agree with you.
You hate atheists, Joel. You need to love your enemies.
You're being the dictator. You're being the tyrant. You're being everything that you accuse others of. You are yourself. You are your own enemy.
I'm not. No, I'm not.
You
Science is a dictatorship, Joel. Science is trying to tell me, oh, this is the truth, and I can't think of the truth myself because I'm just a layman.
You're a hypocrite.
You know what?
Never say that.
I know more about truth than any scientist.
You're projecting yourself onto me.
I am the truth.
You're not.
I don't even need empirical evidence to justify my claims. That's how truthful I am.
Because you're God, right? See what I'm talking about, guys?
It's because he said
I am God. I am Jesus. I am the Messiah. I am a prophet.
You know, there's a Bible verse about Antichrist about you like that to say what you just said, right?
Yeah, there is.
I am the way for you, my children.
You just destroyed yourself on the archive here, dude.
He's just starting to read the Bible, so
I'm the Son of God.
Well, just it. When people genuinely meet the Lord, then they're not crazy.
Yeah. But
science
doesn't do anything. Science doesn't destroy.
Science is crazy. It's crazy to believe any scientist. You got to be out of your mind to believe any scientist these days. They are such liars.
Well, thankfully, you just proved them all true.
Now, at least you're saying scientist, so that's better. But science isn't a person. Science doesn't do anything. Okay,
it's a corrupt institution that's become so powerful it's enslaving humans.
No, that's the atheist.
I agree.
They're not scientists.
In academia, it is corrupt. I agree.
You're actually agreeing with Einstein now, P. Mars. Atheists are not scientists.
Why do you got a hard on for Einstein?
Because he's awesome.
He's not. What did he do that's so great?
He proved God exists through science.
Oh my God. He proved God exists. This guy has lost his damn mind.
Yeah, I'd like to hear you expand on that because I don't know what you.
Yeah, and instead of accusing people of losing their minds because they prove you wrong, to be able to be credible.
Did to me, dude. You're a hypocrite.
To be able to not be the hypocrite you accuse other people of, you have to be like Jesus said. Or
dude, you everything you're accusing me of, you're guilty of. You're the massive hypocrite.
You're so insecure. You're such an emotionally insecure, petulant child. You can't even let other people talk. You're such a freaking antichrist. You don't care.
Yeah,
you're not here to genuinely talk.
But
bloviate like a friggin' child. Seriously.
He is. I want to hear you. I want to
We
hear.
won't be able to with this atheist in the room. We won't
I'm
be able
not
to.
an atheist. I love Jesus Christ.
No, you don't. You just
Yes, I
contradicted
do.
Christ. You hate God.
I didn't contradict Christ.
Well,
You're the one who's a scientist, dude. God does not like science. He does not approve of your lifestyle. You're going straight to hell. Joel, you're going to hell. Your soul is damned.
You're not God like you claimed. So nobody's going
I
to ever do
am.
anything you said. You've got
I'm
a God.
ordained by God, dude. I am the Messiah. I'm
Still.
look,
Dude, Jesus wasn't enough to save us. God created me
no
to
reason
free you from bondage. And here I am. Hello, Joel. I'm God. Science is wrong, Joel. Sorry.
Gavin, help. We've got an atheist religious fanatic in here who does
I'm
not
not.
be able to
I'm
have
God, dude. I am the Messiah. You need to follow me.
All right.
Do you not understand, Joel?
You are
love
one
to
at a
talk about
time.
God there,
One at a time. Now,
No, I'm not going
Kumar,
to.
can you be quiet so I can hear Joel? I want to hear how he says that Einstein proved God. I want to hear the explanation of that, please.
I don't want to be interrupted.
Yeah, well, P. Mars will be quiet, right?
Nope.
Yeah, I'll go make something to eat.
Thanks. Okay, go ahead,
This
Joel.
morning, Phil. Well, it's frustrating. He's going to be a jerk.
Yeah,
But
he's being a troll. So, but I'd like to hear that.
sure, yeah, no, he and I talked about it twice, I think, earlier tonight. But he
Yeah, don't let him get under your skin. Come on.
yeah, I'm not. I'm just trying to get him to leave us alone. To be honest with you.
Hey,
But,
Gavin, Togg's backstage. If you could hear me, Gavin. Tog, I can't let you in, so I don't have that authority.
he proved that the universe is a created finite universe, getting it in points, which the biblical science confirms. And he also, there's a bunch of, the longer version is not only does he basically prove, the biblical account, Genesis, but he also shows what he calls his gravitational collapse theory about the end of the universe. I don't know if you want the long story of it, but basically he literally proves, or at least his math does, Revelations, I think 6:14, I think is where, it talks about where the John saw the last day, that he saw the skies rolled up like a scroll, and that the mountains and the islands were removed from their places. You remember that?
Yeah.
So Einstein's, his part of relativity theory is that the super singularities out there, the super black holes, the ones that are literally eating up entire galaxies, which he didn't observe those back then, and we haven't seen those until very recently. There's 80 of them now, but he didn't know they actually existed. It's just his math predicted it, that they would continue to reverberate gravity waves to the point where they'd start becoming self-reciprocating, where they basically, feeding like feedback, with the microphone and the speaker. They start to, make that terrible noise, it builds up. Eventually it'll blow your speakers out. So black holes, basically the gravity wave will do that.
I have questions. I have questions already.
Oh, please. Yeah. No, pause me if you like.
Okay. I'm not like a super science guy here, but I'm a pretty practical guy. Gravity waves of what?
Well, that's one other ball of wax.
Like, because when you say gravity waves, okay, I know gravity is like a description of like acceleration almost, right? So, but when you say gravity waves, waves of what?
I'm not trolling, by the way. I have lots of videos on my channel exposing science as what it is. Okay. And after I get off here, I'll live stream. I'll show the evidence that Einstein was a total fraud.
Okay, that's fine. But just, your attitude is trollish. You could say these things without it being like a child. That's all, if you want. Okay, you could express your points more, like an adult. That's all.
Nah, not really.
Okay. Well, anyway,
this isn't a place for adult conversation, Daniel. This is the internet. This is like, we got Joel here who's like LARPing as someone who knows what they're talking about.
This is why scientists hate coming to social media, because of guys like this guy.
Well, I'd like to hear Joel, because I have these questions and I don't know anyone who knows this stuff. So, what's a gravity wave of what? A wave of what?
Yeah, again, it's a whole other ball game, per se. So we're still trying to wait to verify if gravity is a wave or if it's a particle or both, just like photons. So basically, when there is a gravity well and you've got either some sort of oscillation going or some sort of other gravity attractive type gravity well, either another galaxy or another star or whatever, where there's push and pull and there becomes like a competing force, so to say, between multiple objects, it starts to create an external essential wave. If you want to really look into more of it, so there's an international experiment called LIGO. I forget what the standard.
No, I've seen that. It said it, quote unquote, that detected gravity waves, and I'd still repeat the question: a wave is what something does, not what something is. So, like, you know what I mean? Like when someone says light's a wave or a particle, I'm like, what?
Yeah, I should probably start with that. Are you familiar with the photoelectric effect? Where photons are literally waves, where they're packets that are waves and particles at the same time. Are you familiar with that? The double slit experiments and stuff?
Yeah, well, the way like I said, I try to make, I'm trying to like conceive of these things the way I could understand them. So I would say when they say a photon, I don't think of that as something that actually exists. It's more like a quanta of energy. So like basically like a maybe like almost like a peak. You know what I mean? It's a way to quantize the energy, so you could do calculations basically.
Well, and you're close. You're close. What you just described is what's actually called quanta. So quanta is itself, it's a plural form of the smallest possible particle. Planck's particle, for example. Higgs tried to steal it, the Higgs boson. But excuse me. So photons are not quanta. Photons are actually much larger than that. Photons, it's basically a subatomic particle without mass, which I'm sure will really make it crazy for you. But
yeah, like I see it. Yeah, and like I have a hard time like just conceptually, like when I turn my flashlight, a bunch of little things are coming out of it. I just don't see that being the case, but whatever.
No, yeah, you can see it with lasers, and again, a double split experiments would really solve.
See, I think to me, light seems more like a perturbation of you know what I mean? Like
that's why it's kind of fun and confusing. I'm glad you're asking questions about it.
You know what I mean? It's like energy. So
well, everything's energy.
To me, the ether makes more sense. I could conceive of things if there was like ether. So like when you say light is a wave, it's the ether waving. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, when you talk about particularly waves in general, so it means it has a wavelength where it's got some sort of amplitude or frequency to it. So light and gravity has a frequency measurement to it, and so we measure those in waves and whatnot, frequencies.
Yeah, but
so that's what I said earlier. So when you got competing gravity wells, essentially, they'll oscillate back and forth, and so as they do, they kind of fight. And they usually draw each other in eventually and create these big, massive, giant, galaxy-wide black holes. As they're doing that, and then of course they're doing it across multiple galaxies, those gravitational attraction forces, they're oscillating. So as they oscillate, they literally create that frequency, the up and down, left and right, whatever you want to call it. And so those
what is it, though? Like what is going up and down?
The gravitational forces, the
forces. So what's a force? Like what's a field?
It's difficult to talk about because again, I'm going to probably make it sound even more stupid. So gravity technically isn't a force. So it's a representation though. So we see
acceleration.
We see things move. We see oscillations in the atoms. We see oscillations in interstellar stuff and stars and whatnot and galaxies. These things move, and if they get into a big enough gravity well and there's more than one nearby, they will move back and forth. And so for example, so say you've got two stars, with a bunch of planets between. Well, as the planets are getting pulled left and right by the two stars, the stuff that the other planets will basically interact with, whether it be in like an asteroid belt or even nebular gas and stuff like that, that gets pushed along with the material between the gravitational forces. So as those kind of go back and forth, they build up, and eventually the rest of the material begins to actually collect and institute its own gravitational force, its own attractions, and that starts to create this reverberation, these waves, these oscillations. That's the best way I can think of it. Is it's a frequency. It's very similar to a sound wave.
Yeah, I mean, I get that that's the way you could describe it or whatever, but like when you just like trying to conceptualize it, it doesn't make any sense because it's just, you know what I mean? It's a wave. A wave of what? Like
it's a wave of gravity. Yeah, I apologize, man. I'm trying my best.
I don't think there is an answer, honestly. I mean, I tried to look into it. It's just not a clear thing. Like it's just,
I appreciate the challenge because I love to try to help simplify these things best anybody can to help make it make sense.
I went on all of the
Daniel, this is blasphemy. Turn away from science before it's too late.
Whatever.
No, it's
so gravity
doesn't. I don't we discover God's creation on how He did things. So
repent.
So gravity, again, gravity itself, we're not sure if it actually exists. Still, there's all kinds of weird theories about it, but it's more of the observation of things that attribute gravitational force. If that makes sense. So we see gravity, but we don't fully understand it. Basically. But the things that we do see, we see gravity move things in waves. And so that's what a gravity wave is.
Like to me, I'm just saying, to me, gravity makes absolutely no sense. We're trying to make it a thing.
Wait till you get into space science and you become a telecom guy like me, man. We have to every day. You have to work on. Einstein called it his general theory of everything, where you try to reconcile between classic physics with gravity, with Newtonian gravity physics, with relativity physics. Now there's quantum physics, which is it actually can go backwards. It's a nightmare. And it doesn't. We have, Einstein couldn't finish his theory. We're still trying to work on it. It is a nightmare. So I agree.
But isn't like I just imagine gravity is more like a description of object. Like it.
Yes.
To even describe gravity, you need like two objects, correct?
Absolutely.
Like it's meaningless with just. That's why I think when they say, because I asked someone about how could a star form? They're saying that the gas collapsed on itself. How does gravity act upon itself? It doesn't even make sense to me. That just seems like nonsense.
Yeah, you remember how earlier I was telling Jungle that if you remove matter, then how that may or may not affect the way the gravity fields change. So there's all kinds of weird variables to it. So as far as answer your next question with the gas, the theory goes that if enough gas accumulates, it will basically become heavy. It'll increase in mass and it'll gain weight. And as it does, so even like asteroids, maybe this will help. There's different sizes of asteroids. A small asteroid has a very weak to no gravitational attraction, while a large asteroid, of course, a planet, has a very strong one. So as even gas and dust particles basically collect, they slowly begin to add or be able to become larger mass to the point they'll become heavy enough that they'll have their own gravitational attractions, and then that they'll just kind of spiral and continue to build until you get,
Yeah, I just look at the collapse.
People believe this stuff.
The collapsing part, and then like like they say, like almost like the inside of a star is like a fusion reactor or something like that.
Yeah.
And how is that happening? Does that have to do with gravity?
Yes.
Because if you go to the center of the Earth, you think the gravity would be null.
No, it's very heavy in the Earth. That's what keeps it molten.
I'm saying, wouldn't it be rest in the middle?
No, it's
like if you drilled a hole through the Earth and you jumped in it, where would you end up?
Well, the Earth's core is actually quite unique. It's a molten iron nickel.
Yeah, well, ignore what's in the middle. I'm saying if we drilled a hole through the Earth, right, and you jumped in the hole, okay?
Oh, you're talking about like if you get to the very center of the planet?
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll get to a point of equilibrium, but you'll be crushed. It's very, very dense gravity there.
You're saying you'd be crushed. I just thought it was a null point.
Well, again, you'll get to a point where you'll stop dropping. But once you get to the center, yeah, you'll stop moving, but the gravity attraction will be so strong you'll. So as you move away from the planet, the gravitation, the G force, the gravity measurement gets weaker and weaker to the point where it becomes zero. So if you go towards the center of the planet, that'd be a cool calculation to make. How many G's are in the center of the planet?
Well, I realized that you would have I guess pressure, atmosphere.
Well, that's what gravity is. And so like, well, no.
See, I don't think it is though. It's not. It's acceleration. I don't know. These are just thought experiments. I'd
love to try to help figure it out with you, man.
Because I don't know. I just like that's why I don't understand a star forming. How is it?
Well, gravity is technically acceleration as we understand it, because gravity is just the rate, basically the rate at which things drop to the center of the Earth. That's what we call gravity, but what causes that, we don't really know, I suppose. I think that's what Daniel's getting at. And I don't know, this Joel guy, I don't think is explaining it very well. Like the gravitational waves, as I understand it, space-time is like a fabric, like a flat fabric, and then objects of mass like curve the flat space-time. So what LIGO detects is when you get like two black holes or two really dense objects orbiting each other close proximity, it's such huge gravity moving at such a high speed, it creates ripples in the space-time fabric, which sends waves. The waves are it's the waves of basically space time. I don't know if that makes sense. But yeah, so anyways, so Daniel's technically right, like gravity is just acceleration, basically. Like the mathematical formula for gravity is basically just acceleration.
If you take the gas as one mass, how is it acting upon itself? Because gravity is always described with two objects, not one.
Well, because gas is multiple objects. So, a gas particle is just a collection of atoms or molecules.
Yeah, but everything's a collection of atoms if you look at it that way. You know what I mean?
It's a matter of density, maybe, if that helps. The more dense it gets, the more heavy it gets, and if it gets heavy enough, it'll start to create its own gravitational field or attraction.
Yeah, well, that's I agree with that, but except you're saying it's gravitating to itself, and that's the part I don't get. Like it just it loses me right there, because it will attract other things. I agree with that, but itself, it attracts itself.
Yeah, when we say "quote unquote" itself, we're just talking about the center mass of the gas cloud.
Because the gas tends to diffuse in a
only if it's moving, only if it's accelerating, if something's pushing it. But if it's just kind of sitting there and it's not going, and there's no other forces involved, and you get enough of a mass collection and enough density, then eventually it'll create its own gravitational field.
Don't we see that with aren't nebulas really called diffuse nebulas? It's just gas.
Yeah, that's a whole other. Again, man, you're opening up all kinds of balls of wax, which I love, but I just don't want it to get confusing. So that's the theory. The theory is that stellar nurseries are creating new stars. The catch is that we never observe it, or we haven't observed it yet.
Okay, so then I feel better, because I was trying to make this point to Leo Phileas that I'm like, I know what you guys think is the case. I'm not denying that, but he thinks this stuff is like gospel or something. I'm like, no. No one has seen this happen. This is just the ideas they're putting out there.
Yes.
He has a problem conflating theories and ideas and hypothesis with observation. Like we know,
empirical,
in case something we could repeat and stuff like that. And I just don't think that, we don't even have the ability to repeat these things, but maybe we can observe them, but I don't think that is the case.
Well, if you can't repeat it, then it can't be scientific. But I actually got Leo to admit that earlier tonight when I was in text with him talking about it, that because he was harping on theoretical quantum physics, and he literally basically said that the applicable physics doesn't exist. And so He's all theoretical. So you're absolutely right. But as far as to answer your question on nebula nurseries, that's the theory. That's how it happens, and it very well may be. We just haven't actually observed it yet. And the best examples that have come close rely on the assumption that what we think is a growing gas density field that we see, it looks like it might be becoming brighter, might very well be that the gas is actually dispersing, as you're talking about, with just other stars behind it. And as the gas loses density, the stars behind it become brighter.
Yeah, I mean, just conceptually, I would think gas would tend to just dissipate in a space.
Well, it can do both.
You know, like it might clump together a little bit, but I just can't see it like you know what I mean? Like if you were even on the space station or something, and
yeah, that's just it. If it all depends on what other external forces are around. So, one example might be like, I don't know if you've ever done like a hazmat type work. You got to do in like an enclosed space environment.
Yeah, I have actually.
Okay. So there you go. So there's oxygen, there's atmosphere, and if you've got like nitrogen or argon, whatever else you're working with, that gets pushed. That's a heavier mass. It's a heavier density. It'll get pushed lower to the ground, and if you're not careful, it'll kill you.
Yeah, and I work with refrigerants and stuff like that. So
there you go.
Yep.
So there's all kinds of other forces involved that can make gas either less dense or more dense.
And then don't get me started about electrons. I think that's another nonsensical idea. I think an electron is a description, but I think electricity is not a bunch of little particles called electrons. I don't think that's the case.
I love you brought that up because that's something that I quoted in the private chat when PMARS first came in here. You familiar with Werner von Braun?
Yeah.
You just remind me of him. He said, here we go. Quote, they, the evolutionists, they challenge science. Hold on. Yeah. To prove the existence of God. But must we really light a candle to see the sun? They say they cannot visualize a designer. Well, can a physicist visualize an electron? What strange rationale makes some physicists accept the inconceivable electron as real while refusing to accept the reality of a designer on the grounds that they cannot conceive him? Love that. So you're right. Electrons are just theories. And we have done scanning electron microscope imaging where we've seen individual atoms. I don't know if you've seen those.
This guy says he's a professional scientist? Really?
Or not? Those videos?
Yeah, I think
if Hitler talked about science, would you quote him too? You just don't care about like Einstein exposing himself to young women, like that doesn't bother you.
Yeah, I don't.
Von Braun being a Nazi, that doesn't bother you.
Of course it does.
Nazis, the atheist Nazis like you they sentenced von Braun to death, but you're strawmanning us.
I think these are human beings and they're sinners. Okay.
He just quoted a fucking Nazi. And then I'm strawmanning him by going, what, are you going to quote Hitler next? That's just, what the fuck, dude?
I know no one's calling any of these people God.
Well, PMARS isn't a sinner, though, Daniel. He's God.
Yeah, even terrible people said great things. So it's just the case.
I like to quote Hitler. You want to hear it?
Let's hear it.
Quote, if anyone has needs of a metaphysical nature, I cannot satisfy them with the party's program. Time will go by until the moment when science can answer all the questions. So it's not opportune to hurl ourselves now into a struggle with the churches. The best thing is to let Christianity die a natural death. A slow death has something comforting about it. The dogma of Christianity gets worn away before the advances of science. Religion will have to make more and more concessions. Gradually, the myths crumble. All that's left is to prove that in nature there is no frontier between the organic and the inorganic.
But that goes against exactly what
This moron Joel What a moron! He's like, you're straw manning me for saying that I'm gonna quote Hitler. Here, let me quote Hitler. Are you fucking kidding me, dude? Also, when I mentioned Aldous Huxley, he thought I was talking about Thomas Huxley and accused me of quoting a white supremacist. What the fuck? He just quoted two Nazis, the head Nazi. How can he criticize me for quoting a white supremacist, which I didn't? Holy shit, this guy is batshit nuts. If he's a professional scientist, no wonder science is all messed up.
But Einstein said,
When you're right, when understanding of the universe becomes widespread, the majority of men know that the stars are not.
More Jews, so I'd go with him.
Mars, what do you think he's trying to say? What do you think?
I think we'll go with Hitler. He killed more people, right? He was probably correct.
Obviously, the Christian doctrine will be convinced of absurdity. I love to quote that because a lot of atheists try to claim that since Adolf Hitler quoted Christ, that it makes him a Christian. But no, Hitler.
Bro, you are unbelievable. You are quoting demons.
He's pointing out that Hitler clearly wasn't Christian.
Right.
I mean,
poor P. Mars, he's so indoctrinated. No, Stalin killed twice as many people as Hitler did. Stalin killed 6. In fact, I got a quote about Soviets. This is from a guy named Alexander Solzhenitsyn. He's a famous Russian author and journalist. He actually survived the Soviet atheist gulags. And he says, quote, "Over half a century ago, while I was still a child, I recall hearing a number of old people offer the following explanation for the great disasters that had befallen Russia. Quote, men have forgotten God. That's why all this has happened." End quote. Since then, I have spent well nigh 50 years working on the history of our revolution. In the process, I have read hundreds of books, collected hundreds of personal testimonies, and have already contributed 8 volumes of my own towards the effort of clearing away the rubble left by that upheaval. But if I were asked today to formulate as concisely as possible the main cause of the ruinous revolution that swallowed up some 60 million of our people, I could not put it more accurately than to repeat, men have forgotten God. That's why all this has happened.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, that's a good quote.
So
I like to point out that the only difference between the German National Socialist fascists and the Russian Soviet Socialist atheist fascists is that one was fighting for their motherland, the other for their fatherland.
So Hitler was correct when he said science was like a threat to Christ. And so how can you support science as a Christian? Like, it seems,
because I don't agree with Hitler like you do.
Uh-huh. So if you're a Christian, how come you can't see the truth?
P. Mars, I think that we
well, what Hitler said was actually true, but you can't see that as the truth. Why?
I disagree with Hitler and you.
You must be not a Christian. You must be.
I say you and Hitler are false. I say Jesus is true, and I use science to prove it.
I think Hitler was onto something there, that science is being used it's trying to be pinned that way by atheists, like to be contrary to God. For that's the spin that atheists put on it, but that's obviously not the case.
Right? Yeah. Hitler was an anti-scientist atheist, like all atheists, in my opinion.
Dude, science is being used to destroy Christ. How can you not see that? So
atheism is not science.
It's blatantly. Yes, it is. They just evolution.
Science. The Bible.
I'm talking, Joel. I'm talking, Joel. I'm talking, Joel.
Are you?
I'm talking, Joel.
Unfortunately,
okay. Joel, I'm talking.
All right, finish, P. Mars.
Yeah, things like evolution, this bull crap that science came up with to devalue human life, and as a result, we have things like abortion. Without science, our society would never accepted abortion. Without science, we would have never done the slave trade. Part of the reason they got involved in the slave trade was lies about evolution and black people are just monkeys and stuff like that. So science is evil, and it's from the bosom of Lucifer. And as a Christian, we need to oppose science.
Look, you're partially correct that the motives of what you're talking about in evolution is anti-science. I can go to the details of it.
Yeah.
Don't blame science, quote unquote, for what atheist fascists do.
People use God to kill, murder. They
Mhm.
use the name of God. It's one of
Yeah.
the commandments. Okay, so that's what I mean. That's the mistake you're making, P. Mars.
Right. You're actually doing a disservice, P. Mars, by basically attacking a method instead of actually trying to get to the root cause of the.
You guys are the children of Satan. I understand you won't accept the truth, and that's all right. I'm just here letting people know we need to, as Christians, we need to oppose science.
Holy crap. Just because Christianity was used to do evil, so, wait, what is he saying? I can't say science is bad because Christianity was used to do. See, like, the thing is, like, Christianity became a mutation and a perversion of what it was supposed to be. It was never supposed to become this institutionalized ideology with a doctrine and dogma. It was never meant originally to be that. It was about freedom originally, okay? So, Christians lost their way and they started serving other gods. And yeah, religion is responsible for bad things. Like that's a fact. I'm not going to deny that. So we have to be honest as religious people. You have to be honest about the dangers of religion. We can't ignore that. And the same thing with science. We can't just act like science is benevolent. Get real. With any ideology, there's an insidious seed of evil planted into it. Because you become an ideologue, and then you can quickly become a bigot and become intolerant to people who don't believe your supposedly true ideology. And that's where we start persecuting. We get witch hunts. We get concentration camps. We get gulags. Okay? So it's a problem of ideology. As Christians, we are commanded by Christ to oppose ideologues and dogma. Okay? So, yes, as Christians, we are to oppose science. Is an ideology that will lead to Lucifer, tyranny, enslavement, and bondage.
And these people, like Daniel and Joel, they're fooling themselves thinking they can use science to support religion. It's totally the opposite. They have no clue what they're doing. I understand they're brainwashed. They don't understand. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do.
Okay, that was cute. All right.
Well, I hope you're not serious, because if you are, then you're actually the one that's destroying the church.
Yeah, I don't think P. Mars has the capabilities of destroying anything.
No, just that whole.
Fuck the church, dude. The church is evil. We need to destroy that shit. We need a better church. We need something better than this shit.
Tirade, because that's what atheists thrive on. They say, look, Christians are stupid, and P. Mars is giving them what they want.
Yeah, he
When atheists say Christians are stupid, guess what? Atheists are 100% correct. Just because someone's an atheist doesn't mean everything they say is incorrect, okay? Smokey said it good. He said it well last night on his stream, when we should thank atheists because they hold our feet to the fire, and they actually, if we listen to them and their criticisms, which not all of their criticisms are unjust. They have fair criticisms, like it or not, Christians, okay? And if we listen to the fair criticisms, we can become better Christians and have the atheists to thank for that. You have a totally backwards philosophy where these people just want to dismiss atheists as having no value. These people like Joel. Joel is a bigot. He hates atheists. You can hear it. He's like, you're an atheist. Atheists are evil. He's an ideologue. Jesus Christ would have totally opposed. This is the total opposite mentality of Christ. Total opposite.
Yeah, I try to be.
Joel,
Mars, you're giving
Joel,
away-
you might be the stupidest Christian I've ever met in my life, and Christians are stupid. Let's be honest about it.
I try to be patient with him, Joel, but
Yeah, I did too. And that's why I first asked him if he was serious. Once he proved he wasn't, and I don't.
yeah, like I said, sometimes he comes more serious and says more insightful things, but not so much today. But I would agree with P. Mars in the sense that science is used by atheists to oppose God. I don't think that anyone would.
I look better with my shirt off than Daniel or Joel.
Flirting with this?
I'm better looking than Joel and Daniel. So,
No, I could actually.
you guys want to listen to ugly fat people, or you want to listen to the beautiful Son of God, Pimar?
Dude, look at your gut coming over that school part in your shirt there. You talking about chubs?
I'm a soldier, dude. I can still do a PT test.
P. Mars is just getting
play into your freaking weird, sick fantasies. Phil Cato brought up a good point. He's talking about opposing science off while he's talking on a cell phone.
Yeah, it's just silly. It's just silly. But no, like I said, no one would deny.
That's not a good argument. Oh, you're on a computer. How can you say science is bad? That's the stupidest fucking argument I've ever heard. Check this out. Let's say we're playing a game, okay? And there is an aspect of the game that I felt was unfair and kind of ruined the game because it made it too easy to win or something, right? It's an unfair advantage for maybe some particular side of the game or something. So, am I just gonna not use the advantage and lose the game and use bad strategy because I disagree with a part of the game? That would be stupid. So just because I don't think technology is a good thing, and I think that we should not, we should fucking abandon technology immediately. Just because I think that doesn't mean I can't use technology, okay? That would be fucking retarded of me. I'm not going to use a computer because I don't like technology. That's stupid, okay? I mean, I phrased that wrong. I'm not going to use a computer because I think technology is enslaving humans. Oh, fuck. I've fallen for their trap. I don't know. I mean, I think about that a lot, actually. Maybe it would be better not to use any technology. I don't have a smartphone, but I also make money on my computer, so... And I've been on the computer, like I got fucking indoctrinated through the education system. They put me on computers in school, and I got addicted to it. And I've been on computers my whole life. So, like, quitting now, I don't know. Probably... I don't know. It does. I don't even think. I think it's just a stupid argument. Like I can't use technology because I'm against technology. I don't think it's being hypocritical, because like, if we were playing a strategy game, and I didn't agree with a part of the game, I'm still gonna use, things I don't agree with in the game to win the game. So just because I don't agree with I'm against technology, I can still use technology to fight technology. Or to play the game. That's what it is. We're playing a game. So I can still criticize aspects of the game without fucking having to not use them in my strategy for victory. Because I'm going to want to win the game, so I'm going to use everything at my disposal, whether... I want it to be a part of the game or not.
That, people are
something that's
Like honestly, I don't believe Joel. He seems like he has a very limited understanding of science from just this conversation, and like I don't even know jack shit about science. So what I'm saying is he's saying things about he's saying things about science that I know are fucking ignorant, and I'm ignorant. So I highly doubt Joel. He must be like really stretching what his profession is. Like, he works at Subway and he calls himself a sandwich artist or something like that. You know, he must be like a scientific artist. I don't know what the hell. I don't think he's a scientist. Like, I can't believe he thinks that science, evolution is anti-science. That is retarded. Was I muted? Did you not hear what I said? Doubting Thomas. He's watching some other fucking stream. He's a fucking loser. Oh, I was muted? I was just talking hella shit to you. Like, what the fuck are you saying? I'm just trying to annoy these guys? That's fucking ridiculous, dude. Those two are fucking... These two are acting like little babies. They are being childish. I entered this conversation talking to them like I'm a fucking adult and they're adults. They behaved like children. So I decided to behave like a children and fit in with these fucking knuckleheads. Thomas, you are a fucking panel squatting nothing. Like, anytime you join a panel, all you do is fucking nitpick people and complain about shit and give like people advice. I never see you contribute shit. Like, do you read? Do you fucking study anything? Do you have a profession that's interesting? Like, what the fuck is interesting about you, Donnie Thomas? And like, why do you think who are you to fucking judge everyone on the fucking YouTube and tell everyone what to do? Yeah, you're a fucking waste of panels. You'll sit on a panel and you contribute nothing. You just take up space. You're a squatter. You know, you should make room for someone who like reads books or has something to say that's interesting, you know? The fuck's wrong with you, dude? You're calling me a troll? You're ridiculous. Well, you're just trying to annoy these guys. Are you trying to annoy me? The fuck's wrong with you? Yeah, okay. Well, you do that. Maybe try reading a book and then joining the panel and you could be like, hey, I read this thing and it was interesting. Do you guys want to have a conversation about it? You're just a fucking gossip bitch, dude. Jesus. Like, I fucking can't stand your voice at this point. Because it's just, every time you talk, it's just bullshit, dude. I think I'm gonna clip this. I'm gonna clip this and highlight this where I'm defending Smokey. So I'm gonna end the stream and then just start a new one and clip this shit.
What do you mean? I didn't know you were a Mormon. And you got really upset with that.
Yeah, okay, so you did, that doesn't make God evil.
So evolution is anti-science, P. Mars, if you want to hear the details of that.
That's so dumb.
Well, I think he said he agreed.